for the individual who may lose their jobs, it's not as easy now to get a job in the context of industry growth rate being slow. If you look at the industry, I think of it as broadly three phases. I'd say the 90s, when the industry was growing at a heady 50 to 60%. In those days, the company which I led, Wipro, grew at 60 to 70%, and it really helped you to become much larger than the other players. Then came the dot-com boom and the early part of the 2000 this century, and I'd say this decade saw the industry growth slow down because the dot-com bust came in into the 30 to 40% range. Those years I was leading MindTree, and we managed to grow 60% for 5 years in a row, and that itself set us up for the IPO that we had. Now, when we began Happiest Minds, which is really the third phase, two things have happened. Of course, the technologies have changed into a world of what we call as disruptive technologies and digital transformation as a result of that. A lot of automation has come into play. The industry, which was growing at 20 to 30%, has now suddenly slowed down, and for the first time really fallen into a single-digit growth rate. There are a lot of forces in our business which are continuously generating new demand. And that demand gets generated by virtue of the new technologies, but it's the solutions that those technologies enable. Now, when you look at it, there's the employment within the IT industry, and there's employment of IT professionals in what you might say are end-user businesses. And that's become huge because the whole startup boom, when you look at it today, it's edutech, fintech, health tech, virtually anything that you can make into a digital world, and you see that, I'm sure, even in your own business. So everybody needs IT people. Now, what has led to, therefore, this decline when there's so much change going on? One, obviously, is that automation has clearly taken up quite a few jobs, and now that's getting coupled on with the artificial intelligence. So I'd say that probably 25% of the testing jobs went away, but got replaced. Quite a few of them got replaced with higher value-added DevOps type of jobs. Then the same thing is today happening with the AI and machine learning. And the areas which are now getting impacted are BPO, as well as robotic process automation and infrastructure. So, and it will probably continue to progress. Now, these are the forces which are reducing the number of jobs, reducing the growth. The forces which continue to help us to increase are literally the new technologies. If you look at it, the internet moved all the way from Internet 1.0 to 5.0 in a space of 15 years. It has, and on the other hand, if you look at the number of new technologies today, there are at least 8 or 9 of them, all the way from AI and virtual reality, augmented reality, and so on, that you can think of, which are in the stage that the internet was a decade ago. Each of these is going to grow and evolve, leading to new businesses, new business solutions. Quite clearly, in an industry which is driven by changes in technology, it's very important to keep everybody geared towards learning the state of the art. And that process is never done. Actually, the problems that you see today is that a lot of people need to be reskilled in the newer technologies, and everybody doesn't have the capacity and capability to do that. And I also do believe that while the companies and the industry will do a fair bit about reskilling, a lot of the onus also lies on individuals. Today, the capacity to learn through virtual means is so high that it's for an individual to say how they will go about. And this is again going to change. I mean, obviously today the big things that you read about and see every day is big data and analytics is still very large. AI and cognitive computing is equally important. In lots of new applications, you're going to see virtual reality coming into the picture. And of course, because of the way the world has changed, security has become huge because the security paradigm has changed. The threats available for people wanting to hack into systems have changed. And then there's a new technology developing every day. You have blockchain on one side and new business models which these technologies are enabling. The good thing about the IT industry is it is also influencing the change in other industries. So it's whereas IT jobs are being lost, but many new IT related jobs are being created, because of the role of all of these changes. You know, you have to realize that notwithstanding all of this, it's not that any one of them has really let go literally tens of thousands of people. What they have done is the process that has been going on all along, that you really weed out in effect the bottom 2% of your performers. So I don't think that and all of them continue to be net hirers. I don't see that as something so traumatic that has happened. Certainly for the individual who may lose their jobs, it's not as easy now to get a job in the context of industry growth rate being slower. But when you look at it again, it's not that attrition in the industry has slowed down. That shows you there's demand all over the place. For these people, the larger and the older players, there was a certain amount of business which is going to dwindle down, and that has got to be replaced with newer business. And I think that has to be a very large challenge for them. Plus, I think there's got to be a transformation which is going on. And you see this today, it creates stresses. Obviously, you see this in a most visible way in Infosys. But, you know, that's the nature of things. I'm sure there's an undercurrent of that change going on in every one of those entities. So the first thing I must tell you is that none of the woes of the IT industry today or the problems are due to the visa issue, because none of it has become effective. They've only stated something and the rules have got to be framed. My belief in all of this is that every time there's been a change in rules, we as an industry have been able to convert this into an opportunity and move on. And I think today, if this H-1B visa rule comes, where the minimum salary goes up to $100,000 and plus, it will actually push us into sending out people who've got 7-8 years of experience, who move and are in a position to help you take up above the value chain. You move up the value chain through that, and you'll actually then end up doing higher value added jobs. So I don't actually see this as a threat in the long run. I think it's really for the industry to adapt itself.